Hello and welcome to this video. And in this video we're going to be talking about working hard as a measurement of productivity or progress. So as humans we have this massive thing in our heads that takes up most of our headspace, which is called the brain. I'm not a psychologist or a neuroscientist, but I kind of think the brain is made of two parts, one that I like to call the fun side and one I like to call the logical side. So the fun side is basically, as it sounds, the fun side of the brain wants the person to be having as much fun as possible, do things for the short term, things that give instant reward and gratification, such as playing games, such as eating sweet food. But really this short-term fun side doesn't really do anything for the long term. And that's where the logical side is. Now, the fun side and the logical side don't like to get along with each other because the fun side wants to do things that are fun, and the logical side usually recommends things that are boring, or they are better for the long term, but in the short term they're just so hard to do. So the fun side is more like a young fun person, and the logical side is like an old wise man who says you shouldn't be doing this, you shouldn't be doing that, because in the long term this will be better for you. So the logical side is the side that we actually often ignore, and the logical side tells us that we're doing something wrong, it's nagging at the back of our head, and that's because evolutionarily we have built ourselves this logic. As higher order mammals we have used this logic to become what we are now, and I'm talking to a camera right now which was actually made by human beings, and it's crazy how cameras actually work. But anyway, I digress. The point of this video is because I had a term that I used a lot in my life and it kind of went like this: it doesn't matter what you do, as long as you work the hardest you can every single day, everything will be alright. However, in retrospect there are a few things wrong with that statement. First being that the fact that we can fool ourselves very easily. Human beings overestimate their abilities all the time, especially when it comes to memory. Most people think that they can rely extremely on their memories and they can tell things, they can recall things such as in courts and occurrences such as natural disasters or man-made disasters. They can say exactly where they were pointed, who they were talking to, what they were smelling and stuff like that. But actually, in fact, it's been proven that humans have one of the really bad memory recalls, especially in court case hearings. It's very unreliable to have a human witness. So if we can't rely on our memories, how can we rely on our judgment that we're working the hardest that we can every single day? And that's literally the biggest problem. We can't actually judge if we're working well. For example, a 9-to-5 job is a good example where you feel like you spent 8 hours a day on your computer, so you've done so much work and you've had the most productive day. But really, you convinced yourself by putting yourself in front of the computer, by typing certain things, by being in front of the screen, that you've got a lot of work done. Conversely, you will have those days when you're doing 2 hours of work and you are so in the headspace, you are so in the work zone that you actually completed 10 times the amount that you would have completed in a day, but in 2 hours. And you know, the logical side says that's been a very productive day. However, the fun side might be like, oh, but I've only done 2 hours of work, like this has been such a failure, and you put yourself down for the rest of the day. What I'm trying to say is there's a cooperation between the logical side and the fun side, and they always mismatch, and they always make us feel worse, or they make us feel too good about work that we haven't really done. So what the better thing would be to do is, instead of thinking how hard I've worked today, is what needs to be done. So this is the best approach that you can have to increasing your productivity, reducing the distance towards achieving your goals. So instead of every day is I work as hard as possible, I'll put in 8 hours to writing this story, I put in 8 hours into writing these YouTube videos. Instead of that, you need to say what actually needs to be done. So what kind of scripts do I need to be doing? If you're writing a book, what chapters need to be done? What's the structure of the next book? What is the structure of the next chapter? If it's schoolwork, if it's revision, you need to actually plan out your revision. You need to figure out what is it that you're weak at, what needs to be done, instead of, oh, I'll judge the productivity, I'll judge the progress based on how I feel. Because ultimately our brain deceives us so much. You can look at optical illusions and just realize how much the brain actually fills in void of information just to make sure that everything makes sense for the fun side of the brain. So the take-home message of this video is the logical side is probably the side that you should be listening to more. The fun side is there to actually protect you, but however, short-term things in the long term, of course we all know that it's not going to do anything. So instead of judging how well you did today at your work, if you work for yourself, you should be thinking of what needed to be done that day and has it been done. Because actual fact that we can easily convince ourselves that we've worked very hard, and if you compare it to the list of things that need to be done, maybe none of them had been ticked off the day that you thought you were working hard. So instead, give yourself things to do that need to be done, and actually, in fact, you'll have to work 3 times harder to achieve the daily goals that you set for yourself than if you feel like I've done enough because I've done hard work today. So guys, I hope this has been a useful video. If you like this video, please press like and comment down below what you think about setting goals instead of working hard. If you like this kind of video and want to see more videos like this where I aim to give you life advice based on my PhD journey and my life journey, then please subscribe. And as always, thank you for watching.